I'm Hannah Sullivan, and this is my internship at Imperial Dade. So, like I said, I'm Hannah Sullivan. I'm a senior at Jonathan Law High School. I plan to attend Pace University in the fall. I'm going for international management, so that's my plan. I did my internship at Imperial Dade. So Imperial Dade is a large distributing chain. They sell, hold on, let me pull up my notes. 1 second. They sell food service supplies, janitorial supplies, basically everything you could think of, toilet paper, paper towels, anything you're looking for, you can get it at Imperial Dade. They used to be EBP Supply, so Imperial Dade has been acquiring amazing amounts of chains and businesses. So EBP Supply was the former location where Imperial Dade Milford now is. And they were Eastern Bag and Paper, and they were acquired about 2 years ago, right before COVID. So my site supervisor, Karen McAndrew, she's here with us today. Right here in this picture is when I put that up in her office, when we decorated her office. So Karen went to Southern Connecticut University. She has her bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in sociology. She used to work at Heart United, which is a nonprofit organization for people with disabilities. So why Imperial Dade? I really wanted a very wide range of knowledge from just as any place I could get it. So I chose Imperial Dade because they have every aspect I was looking for. They sell internationally. They have accounting departments, IT departments, HR, everything you need for a business, so I can get the full vibe of my major. The business of Imperial Dade, if you know Solo Cups, Perel, S.C. Johnson, they sell all of those, so those are some popular brands. They have their own brand, Victoria Bay. My mom had a box of Victoria Bay gloves the other day, and I was telling her all about Imperial Dade. They do cruise lines, hotels, universities, hospitals, everything. They have 90,000 customers nationwide. They have locations in Canada, Puerto Rico, and all over the U.S. My expectations, I was not expecting much. I was expecting to shadow, and I was expecting to watch and learn. But in reality, I got placed in basically every department. I sat with HR, IT, processing, strategic sourcing manager, marketing for a week. I sat with basically everyone, operations. So it was a really, really good experience for me, and I learned a lot. My responsibilities really depended on the department I was in. It would change based on where I was. So I'll get into that right here. This kind of saved a little bit weird, but it's okay. So my accomplishments, I'm just going to break it down by person and by group because I had a lot of different accomplishments through this internship. So Karen McAndrew, my first one, I sat with her for about 2 days in the beginning for when I was first starting. And let me tell you, Karen's job is a lot. There's always people everywhere, always someone that needs something to be solved. I sat in on a call with a lawyer talking about workers' comp. Someone called and they had just gotten out of the ER and no one knew, no report, anything like that from the third shift, so we had to do some investigating. What I found really interesting about this was that when Karen was asking people questions, it wasn't like, so this is what happened and I need to know how it happened. She asked more low-key questions, for lack of a better word, like how does the machine move? How does one back up? How does one go forward? How does one make a mistake? Is it possible to make a mistake? Has anyone ever made a mistake? So she could get a vibe for what had happened without having a bias or having a biased answer. So that was really interesting to see. And it actually opened my eyes a lot to HR because I was never really interested in it until I sat with Karen. So, yeah. So incentive programs and metrics, I sat with operations and worked with Dave, who is the branch manager, and Bill, who is head of operations. And I did this was really cool to me because it was a process. In the beginning, I did some research with Karen on incentive programs and learning about how to inspire and motivate warehouse workers. So I did some research on that, and then I gathered data for Bill and Dave a few weeks later, and then I made graphs and presented that information, and then I made a board for the warehouse workers in the warehouse. So that was really cool to learn about, and just to see how everything like has a metric that they follow and goals that they want to follow. So they would track things like planned versus actual. So when you're going and you're making a trip and you have a shipment, you want to have a plan and you want your workers to get there at a certain time, deliver at a certain time, and get on the road at a certain time. So they keep track of if they're following those, how far off are they, things like that. I also worked with Matthew Gray, who is a strategic sourcing manager. He did things like consolidating vendors, making sure pricing was good, negotiating rebate programs. So basically you get a % back for the amount of money that you put in with the company. It was really interesting to work with him because I'm interested in international management. So he would work with Imperial Dade Canada a lot and the Synergy team, where they would discuss imports and exports because the regulations are different depending where you're selling or buying. For a week, I sat with Lauren and Oliver, that's marketing. That was really fun. I did a lot of things with them. I published a few articles, I branded a few articles, I kept track of some files, did some file work, I even wrote my own blog, coming soon. So yeah, they were really fun. It was really fun to sit with them. They were a younger crowd, so it was definitely more my speed, definitely easier to connect with them, so that was fun. Linda and Michelle, they are analysts at Imperial Dade. Linda works more with the sales reps. She finds problems in pricing, dips, unexpected things, and she tries to change them and make sure that they are fixed. Michelle, on the other hand, works more with the acquisitions and making sure that all the information from one business gets transferred to a new system at Imperial Dade, because all of the systems are different, as you would assume. And then, last but not least, Ani, if I'm saying that right, she was probably made the biggest impact on me while working with Imperial Dade. I sat with her for a day. It was really only like 2 hours. We talked for the whole time, and she was telling me about her job, and she changes the prices for vendors, makes sure that they fit with Imperial Dade's needs, make sure they fit with other people's needs and other companies' needs. But the most important part of our conversation was her explaining her experience. She's an immigrant from China. She moved here when she was, I think, 23, and she was married, and she just decided to go to college in the United States. And the way she spoke of it, she spoke with such confidence and such security in her life, and just knew that she could do it, so she did it. And that's what she told me a million times, and it was very inspiring to hear someone not only be so invested in my life and my goals and be excited for me, but also hear that she went through a lot, and the way she speaks of it, it's like it was nothing for her. So it was really inspiring. Some challenges at Imperial Dade: making mistakes. I mean, nobody wants to make mistakes. It's a scary thing. You don't have a lot of experience in the field you're working in, so it's nerve-wracking, but there was a lot of people there to help me, and no one ever would even say anything if I made a mistake. They would just direct me in the right direction. SEO. So when I worked with Lauren and Oliver, there's this thing called SEO, that's search engine optimization. So when you make a blog or you're trying to sell something, you want to use keywords that people are going to look up on Google. If you don't use those keywords, then it's less likely that your article will pop up. So that was very difficult for me because people don't look up like normal things. They look up like with typos and like missing words, and you have to kind of fit it into an article without it sounding unprofessional or just like ridiculous. So that was very difficult for me, but I got a lot of help from Oliver with that. And then also just experience. I don't have any experience in the field, so sometimes, like when I was working with IT, I just did organizational projects because I couldn't necessarily fix a computer or program something. So that was definitely a challenge. I've gained so many skills from this internship, like it's insane. The first thing is communication. It's really nerve-wracking to talk with people that are like have a job and do their job every day and know what they're doing, but learning that you can just say something and say what you need to say and what you're thinking and they'll help you is very, very, it was very securing for me because I was very nervous about it. I also definitely learned how to be a learner because a big part of this for me was I wanted to learn about everything I could. So I just did that, and I listened and I observed and I paid attention, and I think that's a big skill in the workforce is being able to learn and listen. And then technology, things like Excel spreadsheets and WordPress, wasn't really familiar with it. I mean, a little bit, but not really. So that was definitely a big skill that I gained. After high school, like I said, international management. Imperial Dade said that if they're opening up a program in the summer, that I'm welcome. And after college, I will definitely be in contact with Imperial Dade. Here's some pictures. This is my board I made for the warehouse workers. Still work in progress. We're going to add some metrics and some of the graphs that I made. Again, like I said, in IT, organizational things, unboxed phones, organized them, did inventory. Toner, I did inventory. These were all in different areas, didn't match where they were supposed to be, so I put them all where they needed to be, did some inventory, made a spreadsheet for that. When I would go to meetings, like I sat in on a meeting on the first day, and it was just all the department heads, and they were talking about goals that they had, and with the new acquisitions, taking those on and taking on different transportation and things like that. So I would sit in offices. We sat in this one, and when I met with Linda and Michelle, they presented to me on this TV right here, and I also met with Lauren and Oliver in here. When I sat with Irene, she did, or Arlene, she's the front desk woman, so she did filing. I did some filing with her. Those are the filing cabinets. And this is Karen's office. We put some stuff up to decorate because we needed to make it look spiffy. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Wait, questions? I'm sorry.
I want to know a little bit about your blog. So
My blog, yeah.
So what was your blog like topic?
So it was called How to Clean LVT Flooring.
Okay.
So luxury vinyl tile
Okay.
is a type of flooring. And so what Imperial Dade does for their blogs is they do things in different stages. So when you start off, it's okay, this person is just curious, they're looking around. Then you have the people that are in the next stage that are interested in buying something but want to learn more about it. And then you have the people that have bought it and need to learn how to take care of it. So they already have articles like what is LVT flooring and things like that. But for how to clean LVT flooring, I would have to use keywords like clean LVT or how to clean LVT. And it's hard to fit that in a sentence when you're talking about how to do it. So it's like, how do you say that? But yeah, that was really fun. I got to sit with Oliver, and he gave me a lot of tips. So, and he's new too, so he's just out of college, so that's cool. Dallas.
How long, like, do you work every day, or like how long were your shifts? Like, how
So
expensive to get your hours?
basically every day. I mean, I would come in usually either 9 or 10, leave. It depended on the day. Like in marketing, I did spend a day where I was there until like 5:30 just because I wanted to. So I would usually stay till like 2, 3, 3:30. Really depends. I like being there, so it wasn't really hard to stay an extra hour.
Wait, was Oliver, was he an intern also, or is
No.
this his first year starting?
Yeah, so
I didn't know if it was-
he came out of college. He had a job for a few months after college, and then he started on Imperial Dade. So he's like probably the youngest person there. He's definitely the closest to my age, and he was definitely making a few jokes about us being the only people that age. So yeah.
I have one other question. What would you say to somebody else who maybe is thinking about a career path that's similar to yours, like you thinking you want to go into international
Right.
management? Like what would you recommend for them as like doing an internship in the future?
So for me, a big part of my internship was that I know I want to be in business, and I'm pretty sure I want to be in international management, but I'm not 100% sure. So really finding a company or finding somewhere that hits all those areas was the biggest component to me, and making sure, like Karen giving me the opportunity to sit with accounting and sit with processing and understand. I think the biggest thing for me was understanding that this department affects this department, and this department affects this department, and you have to understand that everyone plays a role in a company. So that was definitely the biggest thing, is just open mind and keeping yourself open to literally anything. Yeah.
Great job, Hannah!
Thanks, guys.
So here's my internship presentation by Hamza Buddha. Who am I? My name is Hamza Buddha. I'm a student at Jonathan Law High School that is getting ready for my future after I graduate high school. I'm responsible in learning and development of new skills. I'm adaptable in a new environment. I'm adaptable with new people and with new challenges. I'm also open-minded, so I can change to help myself succeed in a new environment. I will be studying nursing at Southern Connecticut State University. Where did I intern? I interned at Neurospinal, which is a group of medical doctors that specialize in physical care and rehab. That's the logo. Who was my site supervisor? My site supervisor was Dr. Rickard, who was a chiropractic physician and certified in acupuncture. Also a teacher at Gateway Community College, so he was really able to communicate to me and Frank, because he's already a teacher, so he was really good at explaining things, some of the big words, some of the procedures that he has to do and has done in the past. Why did I choose this site? I chose this site to be my internship site because I was good friends with Chris Rickard, Dr. Rickard's son. And so me asking his dad, I know he would most likely say yes. Dr. Rickard is a professor at Gateway Community College where he teaches biological science. So I knew that if I was going to learn anything from anyone, it would be best by a teacher. So that also, we applied to many hospitals and clinics, but they weren't just accepting regular kids. And so we just went to Dr. Rickard and he said yes. What is the business of this site? The business of the site is the care they provide to their patients and multiple different sites across Connecticut. So me and Frank went to the Milford site and the Stratford site, but there were also sites in West Haven and I think Norwalk?
Yeah, probably. No, they had a bunch. They had like 7 different ones, and they just opened another one. I believe.
They keep expanding their business as they get more and more patients. What were my expectations going in? I didn't know what I was going to learn. I just knew that I wanted to be a sponge and soak up everything, every little piece of information that Dr. Rickard taught us. One of the main things I knew I was going to learn about was bones and the spine and how everything worked together, how the muscles were connected to bones, and yeah, many of the terms that we used in the nursing home, at the chiropractor, many of the words that we learned were also from medical terminology, so taking that class definitely helped us, building words and just understanding some of the words that they used. What were my responsibilities? I knew that I wasn't going to do much because I don't have a degree in chiropractic, checking people's backs and spines. So most of the work that me and Frank did was just looking and staying quiet, sometimes just hanging around with the patient, and then we were also able to talk to the patient, assess how they were feeling and what they were doing and how we could help them in their situation. We just followed Dr. Rick around wherever he went, we went, and he would try his best to explain us what was going on, and we tried to soak up as much as we could. We also took patients in from the waiting room to the room where the patient would get adjusted, and we would seat them there and wait until Dr. Rickard was free, where we would sometimes go in and talk to the patient and see how they were adjusted. Accomplishments. I learned a lot about the body and bones of the spinal region. I learned how to talk to patients. I'm already a CNA at a nursing home, and talking to patients at a nursing home versus a clinic is a lot different because patients will actually talk back, and you're able to understand what they're going through, and just hold a conversation. I also now have a better understanding what nurses do and what physical therapists do, because both at nursing homes and clinics, there are nurses and PT physical therapists. They're on standby to help out their patients. Nurses mainly care for medical conditions, while PT typically care for individuals recovering from an injury or surgery. Some of the challenges was standing for a long period of time, because we were just in a room waiting for Dr. Ricker to, adjust the patients, and after he was done adjusting with them, he would often stop, pause, and tell us what he did and what he planned on doing. So he would always have a sheet of paper, just writing things down, what his plan was with the patient, from how they started and how they are going to hopefully end up recovering, trying to make a full recovery. Dr. Rickard is also a very smart individual, so sometimes we had a hard time understanding him and keeping up with what he was saying, whether it would be talking about different locations of pain on the body, the different bones and muscles, and the different procedures that he could do. How did the internship help me grow? The internship helped me improve my mindset of how healthcare is done. I was able to see behind the scene part of it. Usually as the patients, we just fill out a form, wait for the doctor to come in, check us out, and then let us go on our merry way. But what we don't see is that the doctor has to spend, hours afterwards filling out paperwork, not just for your insurance, but to other doctors that they have to report to. Even though we did not get to work hands-on, we were still able to learn through visual aid and just better our communication skills. I also had a lot more more freedom to pick my times and not have to worry about school for once. I was out of school. We were able to do whatever we wanted with our time, and how we chose to spend our time reflected on us. Will the internship help me in my future? Yes, the internship will help me in my future, definitely. I can now better understand what it's like for nurses and physical therapists. I also have a better understanding of what I want to be in the future, which is for right now, I want to be a traveling nurse, and I want to help people in need wherever they are and wherever they may be. Questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think was the most interesting case you were able to observe?
I don't know if I can talk about it, but we had this one, we didn't have this patient, but Dr. Rickard told us that he once had a patient that would feel relief after he passed gas. So there was something in his spine that was, obstructed or something. And so whenever he would pass gas, he would feel relief from it. And so...
It's amazing how those things are all connected, right?
Yeah.
That is fascinating. Anybody else have questions for Hamza?
Questions? Yes, sir.
Would you ever consider being a chiropractor after working with Dr. Rickard?
I would. It's an amazing job working with patients and developing connections with them. He knows a ton of people, a lot of people from Milford, Stratford, you name it, he knows everyone. And he knows the history of everything because he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So a traveling nurse is you go to them, the patients?
Yeah, so Dr. Ricker spoke about this. I think his daughter is a traveling nurse, and so pretty much applied to anywhere that's looking for an opportunity for nurses, because there is a shortage of nurses nationwide. So you can either go anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you can get paid for it. Yes, Matt?
You said there was a Milford and Stratford office, right?
Yes.
Which would you say that you were around most often?
We were, I think it was 50-50, right?
50-50,
Yeah, 50-50. Because some days we could make it to the Milford office, and some days we could make it to the Stratford office. And Dr. Rickard didn't mind us bouncing in between. We didn't go too far because the drive was long, but we tried to stay local, yeah.
My name is Dallas. I did a internship at this place called Meehan and Ramos Pools. So, again, my name is Dallas. I'm a senior here at Jonathan Law High School, and I'll be attending Gateway to get my associates, then transferring after 2 years to pursue my education in architecture. And I've been doing an internship at a pool company called Meehan and Ramos Pools. This is their website. So, where did I intern and what did I do? So, again, it's called Meehan and Ramos Pools. It's a company that makes and services pools throughout the whole year, and the shop is based here or Stratford, so pretty close. A couple of my jobs were opening the pools because now it's becoming hot out again, and they're gonna be using them, cleaning them, testing for chemicals, like if it's low on chlorine or low on anything else. I helped the people that I worked with by getting them tools and assisting them because obviously I was new, so I couldn't be doing just everything. Putting things like the system back together. So if the mechanic was doing his job, that obviously I don't know much about that. When he's done, I could put it back together and try and learn as much as I can without actually getting too hands-on. So who was my site supervisor? His name is John Champagne, and he's also my uncle, and he's actually the supervisor of the company too. So he kind of just manages everybody, gives everybody their people who they work with, where they're going that day, and he also does go out like what we do and like service pools and stuff. So he knows everything, but he kind of just like looks over the whole place. You're gonna see a couple pictures throughout the slides of pools I cleaned, pools I've been to. This one is of a van, so that it has obviously a bunch of stuff that I had to learn where they go, what they do, and then what to take out on what kind of cleaning. So like this one is obviously a really big pool at a nice house, and that's another thing. I go all throughout the state. So like I even went to New York and Greenwich, so far away places like that. Why did I choose this site? I chose it because it was very easy and comfortable to start. A lot of my family works there, so they welcomed me right away, and it wasn't kind of like awkward to try and get into. I also want to become an architect and thought that construction would be a good way to get into it and learn more about architecture. My expectations, so I actually expected it to be a lot less hands-on and kind of like shadowing and just like watching, but it turns out that I was kind of just a worker there. I went in with everybody else and I just did what they did, and so if there's usually 2 people on, it wasn't like there's 2 people on and then I was helping them. I was the second person, so I was just working and learning a bunch, which I think helps because I think if you go in as like the new guy and they don't really like treat you like a worker, then you don't get to learn as much as you can, and maybe you get like put off a little bit. So I like that. So some of my responsibilities that I talked about earlier. So obviously now it's getting hot, so I'm opening the pools, getting them ready for the summer. I had to test chemicals, which is one of my challenges that I'm going to talk about. So I had to test the water and see what chemicals it needed, and that involved a lot of memory because it's very like numbered based, so you have to put 2 of this, 5 of this. So it took a while to learn that. I had to assist, so if the mechanics or other workers needed tools from me, or hold the flashlight, I would go and run to the van and get it for them. Clean the area, so when we're all done with the pool, there's going to be like fallen leaves and like chemicals on the floor maybe, so I get to clean that all up while they're putting all their stuff back together. What did I gain from this? So I gained a lot from this, obviously, but I just thought of a couple things. So experience in the real workforce. So I've had plenty of jobs, but none of them kind of challenged me like this one, because this is like would be considered a full-time real job that you could do for the rest of your life. And I was working 12-hour days, and it made me realize how important getting a job you love is, because I couldn't imagine if I enjoyed it, and I couldn't imagine being there for 12 hours a day if I didn't enjoy it. So, and then obviously learning how to service pools. I obviously learned a lot about how to take care of a pool and how to use my brain and tools to solve problems I couldn't have before. And I was thinking, like, it's always good to know something. Like, even if I in the future didn't want to do something like this, but an opportunity came up, I have an edge over someone that didn't. So I thought it was just good to have. Challenges. The only really challenging part was getting to know and remember everything. Nothing was too like challenging to where I couldn't do it, but none of the work was too taxing on my body or mind to the point where I couldn't do it. But on the other hand, it was learning a lot and new skills, and I haven't really heard before, so it took some time getting used to. So like I thought about like in school, like if I didn't know like how to do something in math, couldn't really like do anything about it at the time. But this, like if I was learning how many chemicals to put in, it would just take some time, and everybody knew around me, so it was easier to kind of pick up fast and just like have it in my head. So my future plans, like I said, I'm going to be attending the next 2 years of school at Gateway Community College to get my associate's degree, and then my plan is to transfer to a school with a good architecture program and a grad school so that I can finish out my learning. Maybe do another internship and try and get into like an in at a job, and if all goes well, my plans for the future, like way future, is to be a successful architect and eventually design my own house. That's just been like a little like dream. I have some videos. I don't know if they're short of like houses I went to and like cleanings I did. So this one was in Milford. This was our only one in Milford. Usually we work up in like Greenwich and Fairfield in those areas. It was right on the water. It's kind of blurry, but I've been to a bunch of really nice houses, which is what some of my favorite parts were, because obviously like a house like that is very modern and different. So I'm very interested in that because of, you know, like my architecture interest. I'll just show like two. This one was, I think, in Westport. It was right on the river, which I thought was really cool. And then it was, again, like a modern style house. And then so I cleaned that pool. And then so, yeah, a lot of my favorite parts were just seeing the houses and pools, because I'm interested in design and architecture, and I never really see those around Milford. And that's it.
Alex, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel? I just want to know a little bit more about like how you feel this maybe prepared you for going on to Gateway, and like what you're going to learn there, and the idea of going into architecture. What do you think is like your biggest takeaway?
So, I've always like been really interested in architecture, even if I like before I really knew a lot about it. So I think this helped with like learning more about what I'm going to learn and what I need to prepare myself to do. Because although I was just like cleaning pools, there were people that like my dad works there and he's a construction, so he would have blueprints, and I could look at why something would work, why it wouldn't work, what needs to go where, because like there's certain pipes. So I never really knew about that before. I always just kind of like the idea of like creating and like designing. So I got to really look into it and like kind of question myself, like, do I really want to do like the actual work? And I think I liked it. So I want to like, obviously I have to go into math and then work up to the actual architecture.
Other questions for Alex?
Yes.
Did you have to look at any green pools and figure out what went wrong?
Yeah, so so the first like week we were opening, and then after that we were kind of just doing cleans. And when you do cleans, they aren't really that dirty because like it's like weekly cleans, so it's like a couple leaves you gotta vacuum, and then like if some chlorine came out, you gotta add more chlorine. But when we were doing openings, there were some, I couldn't see through the water. They were like dead animals. It was gross because they've been sitting like that all winter with the cover on and everything, or some with the cover off, so stuff fall in. So yeah, there were some really dirty pools, and when like an opening takes around 2 hours, so like you get there and then you clean it and then you leave, but by the time you leave it's not like clear because you put all the chemicals in, so it takes time to actually clean. So yeah, I did see some really dirty pools.
And only built-in pools or above ground?
No, only underground. Yeah.
Wait, so what if the pool's really dirty? How much would you guys charge? Would it be like more money, or
So-
does it depend on like the mess?
I don't know how much we charge exactly. I know this specific company does charge a lot, so that's
Yeah.
why we're in like Greenwich and places like that a lot. But if it's really dirty, I have to assume, I don't know. I think it depends on the size of the pool and how much maintenance that we have to put into it, because if there's a tiny pool that's really dirty and a really big pool that's really dirty, we still have to put in chemicals to clean it. It's not like we're like scrubbing away like anything like crazy, unless there's like actual stuff on the like outside of the walls that we can see. So I don't think it's based. I think it's based on like the size of the pool and how much maintenance we need to actually put into it.
Did you
Yeah.
swim in any pools?
No, I didn't. Because
Sure, that's tempting.
yeah, I mean, a good thing that I was thinking about was like some days were really hot and I had to wear. Well, I don't think I had to wear, but like I was wearing jeans because like it's like there's stuff around, and so like if I was really hot, I could like dip my arms in the pool and splash my face. So we could do stuff like that, but I didn't get to swim in any. No.
I have one other question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's anything that you learned while you were here at Jonathan Law that kind of translated and kind of helped while you were out at your site?
I feel like obviously talking to people that like you don't really know. So like when I first came here, it was obviously like hard to talk to people. But I think like throughout high school, it obviously got so much easier, like meeting all the teachers and all the students. And then when I got there, although some of it was my family, I would be working with some people I didn't know as well that were higher up that knew how to do their job and like I would assume not wanting me to mess up their job. So like if I'm like helping a teacher or something or like presenting something, I knew like how to act and not like kind of respect them. And so if there was like a older guy that has been working there and he's doing his thing, I'm not gonna like mess it up, you know.
Yeah.
So I stayed in my own lane and did whatever they needed me to do.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a really great professional like experience.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
was different.
Great job, Dallas.
Hello, my name is Frank, and I did a chiropractor internship. Alright, who am I? I'm a senior at Jonathan Law. I'm gonna go to Southern next year. This is my senior year, obviously. And I own a restaurant in Florida called Fin and Smoke, and I also own a food truck in Florida. So I have those two things set. I also work at the Lazy Lobster, and I'm a manager there, so I help with like the food and stuff like that, taking it out, make sure it's looking really, really good, Instagram friendly, so like people like it. And then yeah, that's about it. And also that's the sign for Fin and Smoke. And I also trade like crypto, stuff like that. So the crypto market went down a lot today, guys. Just saying. I know none of y'all know about it. But... Alright. Where did I do my internship at? I did my internship at Neurospinal Center. And that's the Stratford one, and that's the Milford one. Those are just two of like the 7 offices that they have. And again, back to what I was saying when Hamza was presenting, they have another office that they're opening. So, and so Dr. Musco, he's the owner of the companies, all 7 of them. And then let's go intern Dr. Rickard. So yeah. Alright, why did I choose this site? That's because I'm interested in the medical field. So me and Hamza, we went to a bunch of hospitals. Like we went to a few pediatrics. They let us in, but we're like, I personally wanted to go to a chiropractor to learn about the skeletal system. That's why we went there. And what else? Alright, and then why else I did this? Because I love helping others out. Obviously, I own a lot of restaurants and businesses, so I help the people out. And this, you help the people. Alright, you gotta get them fixed, nice and healthy. They gotta recover. So that's what I did. And this is an example. So that's the bed they put them on after like they do all the charging in the beginning. So they put them on there. They have to crack their back. And there's 2 positions that the Dr. Rickard, who was our intern, well, that was the person that we saw, or whatever. That's what he did. So like he had to put them on the side though on the bed. It wasn't like that position, like in the middle, you know. So it was like this sort of, and then he had to crack it twice on each side to release like there's like, all right, in joints, guys. It's the whole like little lesson right here. So there's this like fluid in your joints. Yeah. So they have to like loosen it up by cracking it, and that's where you get the cracking from, guys. All right. My responsibilities: I have to show up on time. It's a huge responsibility. Alright. Second, you gotta wear your scrubs. So you gotta be dressed and proper so that everyone knows who you are and what you're looking like to be professional. And then obviously you have to be respectful to everyone, the doctors, the front desk people, even your patients, because you want them to like you and not want to leave the place, you know. So, and then when you're there, you just have to absorb all the information you possibly can, because that's a great way to learn and get the job done. And building connections. So, building connections, Dr. Musco, he's never there. Like, I don't even, did you see him? No, Dr. Musco is the owner, though. No, he's the owner. D'Angelo, D'Angelo's the doctor for that one. I talked to D'Angelo. Yeah, do a search it. Alright, you want to search it up right now? Nah, hold up.
Frank.
No, he said, hold on.
Frank.
No. Yeah, I just want to show you guys something real quick. Dr. Musco is the owner, alright guys? Okay. Just double check, alright, so people know. Alright, accomplishments. Building relationships with the patients is a great way to interact with each other. And then I learned the different types of the bones and the spine, the spinal system. So there's a chart right here. There's C1, C2. Well, there's no C2. So basically, there's like different letters and words within it to show like each part of your spine. And then accomplishments. So some accomplishments that I made was when I saw the patients, I was talking to them, asking how they're feeling and stuff like that. There's a chart in the office from 1 to 10. 1 is the worst, 1's the best, like a happy face on there, and then 10's the worst. So hopefully it's a 1 out of 10. And then I bring them in the room, I go talk to them, see how they're doing, and then you gotta help them out if they need help with anything. If they have any luggage or anything, gotta help them bring it in. And then also though, there's these lights in the room, which me and Hamza had to turn on so that the doctors know. Because there's multiple doctors that work there, and there's obviously multiple patients that come in. So we gotta make sure the lights are on so that the doctors know, so they could come in and help the patient. Challenges. This is a huge one, guys. So I went into the office. Okay. I went to the office. And I didn't drink enough water, guys. Guess what happens? I felt a little dizzy. I get into the room with the patient, me and Hamza, Dr. Rickard's in there. I get really, really dizzy, and then I'm like, oh shoot, Hamza, I need orange juice. Dude's like, give me some time. I'm dying over there. So he waits. Next thing you know it, I'm dead. I'm on the floor. So, you know, Hamza's lesson, get me orange juice. My lesson, drink a lot of water, guys. And then, so they just bring me into the other room, got me water. I was good to go, and then we went home after that. So it was very interesting. So, develop skills. Communication, that's a key skill within your life and forever. So any job you have, it could be a cashier, you could be an owner, you could do whatever you want, but you just need to have great communication skills. Being able to talk to the people, to like sell them on whatever you're doing, or just to talk to them is just a great way. And then asking a lot of questions. The more questions, the more you can learn. You just gotta absorb it all like a sponge. Being involved with your conversations, that's also a great way to communicate with each other. And overall though, you can learn great things about their business and stuff like that. But yeah. Alright, will this internship help me for the future? Yes, I believe this internship will help me for the future. Just learning like the different types of bones and stuff like that within the spinal system is a great way to learn about the body. And I want to become a doctor one day, so therefore you gotta learn about the bones so you could talk to your patients and tell them about the bones and even the joints. I bet you guys didn't know about that and the fluid within it. And overall though, it's a great way to help me run my businesses in the future because of the communication I learned. And I have a YouTube video. Was that fine if I play it?
What's in the YouTube video?
Just a person You'll see. It's a good YouTube video. It's only 2 minutes too, so. All right.
This is my comeback.
All right. Gotta add
Start
guys.
yours at blueglobal.edu.
Everyone's cracked their knuckles before, but have you ever wondered what the sound you're hearing actually is? Today I'm going to go through what happens to your body when you get a chiropractic adjustment. I'm Dr. Jen from Strengthen You, your fitness and therapy expert. First, I'll go through what an adjustment actually is. We call it spinal manipulative therapy, or SMT. It's actually a high velocity, low amplitude thrust that is applied to a joint. Basically, what that means is that it's a quick but not forceful thrust applied to the joint. This is why someone my size is able to adjust someone much larger, because it's all about the quickness of the adjustment and not about the force that you're providing. Next, I'm going to talk about what a joint is. A joint is two bones coming together. Usually it's surrounded by a capsule, and in that capsule there's fluid which allows the joints to glide smoothly past each other. Every joint within our body is designed to move in a certain range of motion. Our elbow moves differently than, for example, our neck, our mid-back, and our low back. We call this our active range of motion, and this is a range of motion that we ourselves are able to move. So, for example, twisting side to side, we are able to get through the active range of motion. We also have a passive range of motion that we ourselves are not able to engage. That's why we need therapists or chiropractors to help us attain that range of motion as well. An adjustment aims to restore proper movement and range of motion in a joint that is restricted or not moving properly. In most cases during an adjustment, an audible pop or the cracking sound is heard. When a joint is adjusted or moved quickly, an air bubble may be released from the fluid inside the capsule. That causes the audible popping or cracking sound. In most cases, the sound is audible and loud, but it's not associated with pain at all. Most adjustments are pain-free. Chiropractic adjustments are not only beneficial when you're experiencing pain or you have severe symptoms, they're also great for maintenance and prevention. I'm Dr. Jen from Strengthen You, and remember, you're only one strategy away from crushing your fitness goals.
Frank, I have a question for you.
And then you got questions.
Yes,
All right.
I do.
We got the
I
first question of the
certainly
day.
have questions.
All right. What's the question?
All right, so I want to hear about the experience you had like on a day-to-day basis. So tell me a little bit more about like what a typical day looked like when you showed up at your
Typical day.
internship experience.
All right. Usually there'll be like one patient in the office as soon as you walk in. So then we sit down, wait a little. Dr. Rickard, he comes out, says, "Hello guys, how are you doing?" Whatever. And then we go into the rooms where all the patients go, and then he'll have. Hold on. No, there'll be patients that walk in, and then he has to take them, bring them to the room. We'll bring them also. We turn on the lights, and then we all talk to each other, ask how we're doing, stuff like that. Then he asks how he's doing with like the pain, the patient. So 1 to 10, that chart. We'll talk about that, and then after that, he'll go and crack the person's back, put them on the cushion table. He does that twice, and then when you're finished with that, he tells them to go into the therapy room. There's this therapy room that there's usually ladies, because it's like, it's gonna be like weird if like a guy touches a girl, I guess, in like therapy. So it's ultrasound. These ultrasound, they do it for about 20 to 30 minutes. So they do that, and there's also like the therapy they do. They also have like weights, like dumbbells, a bunch of stuff, a bunch of their equipment, so that they could release all the tension and pain within their joints. So.
Do you remember any one particular experience or person that you thought was like one case that was really interesting?
Well, the one that Hamza said.
Oh, name another one. Give me
Another one? That was like the best one.
That was the best one.
Yeah, that was the best one.
Well, that was something you were told, right? So what did you actually, was there one that you saw? Nothing comes to mind.
Nothing was like significant that happened really, honestly. With the patient, I saw at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Answer.
Is there anything that you learned about the skeletal system that you didn't know before?
Yeah, so in your back, when you have like, say you have like lower back pains in like certain areas, there's this huge chart that he showed us. We were talking about for like 5 minutes, but I learned a lot from it because there's like each pain has something that correlates to it and like a different part of your like back or whatever. So like say it hurts right here, and it'll correlate to like some part like different, like maybe like up top. It's all like correlated based on like the colors of the chart. Yep.
So you were talking about the scale on 1 to 10. What was the worst someone had? Do you remember?
What was it, like 8ish? 9. I think I saw a 9. There was a 9.
So 10.
You saw a 10?
Yeah.
Alright, then 10. 10 out of 10. Alright, Hamza, you got any questions?
I have a question.
You have a question?
I'm actually more than one question.
Yep.
Why did you pick to go together?
Together because we both want to, we'll go into the medical field, and honestly, that's about it.
So
And we're friends. We have a great relationship. Yeah.
So you
those type
said,
of
like you
things.
said that you were a manager at the
Yeah, the Lazy Lobster, which
So
is
why
very.
didn't you pick a business intern since you had that
Yeah.
connection?
That's what everyone was asking me. But I have. All right. I wanted to expand my knowledge and learn different other businesses. Like the chiropractor job, they have their own business. They have 7 different businesses. You get to learn the ins and outs of it, and maybe one day I might have to open up my own chiropractor business. You know.
And Sir Lobster.
I'll give you some money also. All right.
All right,
Yeah.
good job,
All
Frank.
right.